You have come to the right place, and I just watched Cruella.
Come and get it.
No, not Cruella, Cruella. And I gotta be honest, it wasn't very good. I don't want to waste anybody's time here. Let's just get right into it. Let's start with the opening, shall we? Right out of the gates, we get this strong, cliche sense of edginess, complete with the old trite saying, "I am woman, hear me roar." And we also get some old gags, including the kid gets hit in the nuts gag. Absolutely gut busting, am I right, guys? A problem I was instantly having with this movie, and all throughout the entire movie, as a matter of fact, was that there were a ton of easily choreographable scenes where they used CGI for the dogs, which just really looked silly at times. And it was blatantly CGI. Not sure why they opted to do that, because you could easily train a dog to actually do what they were showing. Also, while explaining Cruella's backstory, they also try to make you feel sad for child Cruella, when in reality, in all honesty, she was being a disobedient, insufferable brat by not staying in the car when she was told to, and her terrible school drama mostly initiated by her. Look, I get the character. I get that she's not supposed to be an exemplary person. So then, why are they trying to make us feel bad for her? I feel worse for her mother, in quotes, that she had to put up with this kid for so long. While recounting her story in the film, in the beginning, she even says, "A sad story," in like an aw moment.
Sad story.
I'm just like, yeah, real sad story for sure, for her dead mother. Anyway, the whole opening sequence is exactly what you'd expect. It's very predictable. She finds this ragtag group of scallywag kids to room with in an abandoned house, just like we've seen countless times in past movies. And then in a blink of an eye, oh look, she's all grown up now and even more edgy. Which, to be honest, I guess is good for her character. Keep her edgy, quit the sob story. So she does some petty theft with her friends and gets away with it because she, I guess, makes good costumes, if that makes any sense. But her scallywag friends surprise her with a job offer from a large fashion company by lying about her references, which I guess this multi-million-dollar company doesn't even contact them at all. They're just like, oh, you know the prince? Okay, I'll let you in. Anyway, the gag here is that she thinks that she's getting this kind of lucrative job, but instead ends up cleaning bathrooms and taking out the trash. Then again, they paint this picture of her that's all like, oh, poor me, I gotta scrub floors and take out trash. Like, look, I've worked that job before, okay? And I even know that it's a legitimate starting point. So I'm not sure why they're all like, oh, poor me, oh, I gotta get on my knees and scrub and plunge and whatever. Especially for someone that flunked out of school and lived in a shack. Granted, her boss/manager guy is a big doof with some really awkward mannerisms, to say the least. Anywho, here are a few good things up to this point. They're as follows. The music selection is great, and this whole movie actually has a really nice soundtrack. The cinematography is definitely a step up from the other live-action D-makes, as I like to call them, and the set design and costume design is surprisingly good. We actually get a decent sense of what London in the 1970s would feel and look like. Okay, back to the bad. Apparently her scallywag friends are expert in bypassing million-dollar security systems, even though they've lived in a boarded up shack, stealing sandwiches from old ladies for 20 years. And in an absolutely hilarious scene, for all the wrong reasons, might I add, Cruella, I guess, can beat up 4 6'6", 280-pound security guards with a poke from a cane. Whereas a punch to the face of the same guy does nothing later on in the movie. And also, I guess the Baroness can't tell Estella from Cruella due to her a different hair color or something. I don't know. Those cucumber slices she uses are not for her vision, I'm guessing. And the security guards are not much better because they mistake a dog for a rat. Like, these dudes could not tell their right foot from their left hand. I mean, just as a matter of fact, everyone in this movie needs their vision checked desperately. Anyway, there's a definite moment in this movie where Estella becomes Cruella, and they literally spell it out for you as well.
You're right. She will recognize me. So Stella can't go to the ball. I know someone who can.
This movie really needs, man, it needs a lesson in subtlety. There's this line of dialogue where Cruella It is all like, there are 5 stages to grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. But I'd like to add one more. Then there's this awkwardly long, cliche, fill in the blank kind of pause where 100 out of 100 people are thinking revenge. She's going to say revenge. What does she say?
Revenge.
Yeah, she says revenge. There is no subtlety to this film. It's basically like, here's what to feel and why. Let's spell it out for you right here. Your audience is not brain dead, Disney. We all know that she was going to say revenge. You didn't actually need to say it. You don't need to say
Sad story.
to let us know that we should feel sad. As a matter of fact, this whole plot is laughably predictable if you even paid half attention during the first 10 minutes. And also, speaking of how we're told to feel, there's this recurring theme throughout the movie where she goes back to this water fountain and like talks into it, I guess, and she, like word for word verbatim tells you what you're supposed to think and feel. It's just really weird that they think we need to hear that. And it's just like, why is she actually speaking out loud into this fountain? Like, why did Disney think that we needed to hear this? Like I said, we are not brain dead. We know what this character would be going through. They don't need to actually verbatim say it. And there are like people walking by as she's just like speaking into the water, and they're probably just like, man, this lady's a nut job. Also, I'll take the time to mention this now. Emma Stone's British accent isn't terrible, but it's not good either. There are just so many points where I kind of cringed due to how forced it sounded. And in general, the acting in this movie is not that great, especially from Emma Stone. I expected better. Okay, I know I'm being a little negative here, so how about we talk about a few good things up to this point to cut through the garbage. So the 2 scallywag friends are actually pretty funny and easily the funniest parts of the film. Another thing that I appreciated was how they weren't afraid to make the Baroness flat out rude. She's even less likable than Cruella, but of course that's because they're not trying to make you feel sorry for her every 2 minutes. She's actually just a genuinely terrible person, and it's kind of a breath of fresh air, to be honest. Also, there actually end up being a few gags that made me slightly exhale through my nostrils. Also, I love Artie, the character Artie. Man, I wish they would have expanded on his character. I would have rather watched a whole movie on Artie than Cruella. And as usual, let's get back to the bad. Why did Cruella not actually skin the Dalmatians? Why did she not? She did in the original. Like, it was part of her character, and it kind of showed you how psycho she actually was because she was willing to skin dogs to make clothing. But man, one thing I've noticed about these Disney demakes is that they really try to make classically evil female characters like Maleficent and like Cruella these misunderstood, unsung anti-heroes that they're not supposed to be. They're just not. I'm sorry. And as a side note, they really tried to make Cruella this female Joker equivalent. I'm not even kidding. Just, oh no, that psycho Baroness, she can't be my mother. There's no way. Just like Arthur Fleck's father was presumably Thomas Wayne, they both found paperwork, birth certificates proving it. And both their parents worked for this evil millionaire in their story. But there are definitely a few moments that are just not even trying to hide it. It's blatant Joker. So yeah, it's pretty blatant that here in this movie, they tried to make a female Joker, which is what I predicted since I'd seen the trailer. So blah, blah, blah. The movie kind of drones on, predictably, exactly how you'd expect, not creative. And the whole ending sequence is about the most generic ending that you can imagine. Oh, darling, I'm so sorry I ordered you to be killed as a baby. Let me just hug you at the edge of this cliff where I totally will not push you off, darling. I'm sorry. This movie is really not good. It's so predictable. There's just too little substance to it, and this movie really should have been half an hour shorter, honestly. Just take out all of the straight up explanation scenes where she's talking at the fountain. The only reason they put those in there, I'm guessing, is to like inform the half asleep grandparents taking their grandkids to see this movie of what's going on as they're barely squinting an eye to watch it. So surprisingly, as far as Disney demakes go, this is actually, sadly, one of the better ones, which speaks to how terrible some of the others are. Like Aladdin was horrible, Lion King, awful. I would rate this movie a 5 out of 20. It's really not something that I'd want to watch again. If you liked the movie, I'm sorry you had to hear that. Please share with me in the comments your thoughts on this movie. What did you think of Cruella? Did you like it? If so, why? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. This was my review of Cruella.
Come and get it one more time.
No, not Cruella. Cruella. And you have come to the right place, and you're now leaving the right place. Stay safe out there, guys.